Привет, comrades, TFCom here. And I feel like I haven't done a lot of serious videos in a while, so I'm gonna make up for it with this video here. And oh, sorry. I love how I went into the bathroom to avoid my cats, and he's right here. Stop following me! Stop following me! I love you. Okay. Well, I came up with this idea at work because of what happened. I had a woman come to me and ask if we had this certain movie because she explained she had an autistic son and he would only watch that movie and he'd watch it on repeat for days and such. And the movie had broke, and so she really, really needed a replacement one. And I said I would definitely look, because I know how it is, when you don't get the movie you want. I know how it is when your rhythm gets damaged, because I'm autistic too. And she was really surprised, and she said, you're autistic? I couldn't tell at all, and she said I had no idea. She was... Ow, stop biting me. She actually started crying, and she said, you give me hope, because my son is 5 and he just now said his first word, and I'm really worried that he won't have much of a life, and he won't be able to live a happy life or anything. He won't be able to get a job or ever seem to have a normal life. And I told her, it is harder for us. We have a lot of struggles that people without autism do not have to experience. But that does not mean it's impossible. And she was crying and saying thank you and thank you. And I started crying because this woman was so moved by me, and I didn't really even have to say much. Just me being alive moved her. And I think that really put things into perspective. So I wanted to talk about what it's like growing up with autism. Now, back when I was growing up, there were many different types of autism. Now they're just called the autistic spectrum. Before there were many different types though, so I was diagnosed with a certain type known as Asperger's. Aspergers. Asperger's. Now this type is essentially very, very close to most autisms, yet it hits really bad in the social field. We have extreme difficulty raising our hands, saying our mind. We can't tell when someone's being sarcastic or not. That's our biggest issue. We can't really tell emotion whatsoever from voice. So if I ever sound like I'm yelling, I mentally do not register that. And if you are yelling at me, I do not register that. So it's very, very hard. We try to rely on body language. So we tend to be more expressive with our hands and such to try and, make it as obvious as possible. And it's a big difficulty for us very often. We tend to be told oftentimes that we are not listening. People suspect that we don't really care, since we may have a joking tone, and honestly we can't tell, and we end up in lots of fights and a lot of friendships ruined because they can't understand you, and they think that you are a mess. They think you're a horrible person who doesn't understand their pain. And I've had friendships where I get really offended because how dare they not know that I'm in extreme agony right now? Why are they laughing? and I suppose I was using a joking tone with them. Or I'll tell them something really personal and they say, that's not funny. I'll say, of course it's not funny. Why would it be? So I assume I was using a joking tone unknowingly. And we tend to be open books. We walk up to people and if they talk about suicide, you'd be like, oh yeah, I committed suicide. I attempted suicide once. This was how I did it. And it's very strange to a lot of people, I suppose. They're probably like, why are you telling me this, random person? But for us, it's just a normal thing. We are open books, we don't really care. But then we get hurt very easily, emotionally very hurt, because people treat us badly and such, because they think we're bad people, or we act like they're bad people, or whatever it might be. And they don't trust us because of that. Well, basically, I want to talk what it was like growing up. Because many of you might be parents now or soon or big siblings or whatever else. And some basic things that you know to look out for, because it is Autism Awareness Month. And I'm really behind on this, I suppose, but it's my way of being aware. Important thing is that I was told growing up that my parents very much worried about me as a child. They cried and thought I was never going to have a good life. I was never going to be a happy child. They constantly had to keep an eye on me. And because, the big reason why was because I would stop breathing. I would not feel like I needed to. So I'd hold my breath and they would come see me all purple-faced or blue-faced or whatever it might be at the time. And they'd have to smack me or scare me or something to get me to gasp for breath. And for me, these people are insane, they're hitting me, why would they hit me? But for them, oh my god, my child almost died. And I think I had to wait till I was a lot older for that to truly register with me. I think this woman helped it register the most, because she basically showed me how much parents do worry for their child. And it's not just a lie or something like that. And I was a very sick child. I had seizures and stuff all the time. My autism did not help at all. I would be often just stare at a wall, and I would have no emotion whatsoever. I'd just stare blankly at a wall for hours and hours and hours. I would watch a ceiling fan for hours and hours and hours. And my parents always thought it was a little funny at first, and then they started to worry when I got older. And I still did those things. It wasn't until I was 11 that I was diagnosed with autism. And I never even heard of this type of autism before, but now they're all the same, so I suppose it doesn't really matter. But I never heard of it, no one had heard of it, and I was kind of insulted, because I'm like, I'm a genius kid, why are you saying I'm a moron? I'm not a moron in any way. And because it's just a stigma of autism. You hear autism, you think, stupid kid who can't do anything, who can't speak, who can't move, who can't do anything. And I was insanely insulted. I was like, how dare you say that about me? I'm a fucking genius. And I think everyone goes through that every once in a while. Who thinks, like, how dare you say something's wrong with me? But on the other hand, some people it's a relief. Because they're like, whew, I'm not the only one who has this problem. It's not that I'm not trying, I genuinely have a problem. And I think it makes you feel a little better about yourself in that way. But for me, it was very insulting. And since then I've learned to grow and accept it. And I try to overcome it at all cost. But it gets very, very frustrating, especially in really important speeches and interviews and stuff. Or class project speeches, I always get points counted off for improper emotion. Teacher says you can't have a joking tone when you're talking about rape and Holocaust and stuff. And obviously that's not my intention. I would never joke about that stuff.
but as as far as they're saying, I am joking about it, and that causes some conflicts there. Yeah. Another thing is that we tend not to learn things as well. We pretty much have one thing we focus on a lot, and maybe one or two or three, but everything else kind of just goes in and out. You may pick little tidbits here and there from things that sound interesting, but you very rarely learn a lot of stuff. And that has always been an issue for me because I wanted to learn everything, but I've always been really bad in school. And I always thought I was just a moron, and my mom would always be like, oh, it's okay, it's just your autism. Or if we get in a fight, she's like, honey, I'm right. It's just your autism that makes you misunderstand. And that's some of the meanest things to say to someone. It may be my autism, but don't treat me like my feelings aren't real. I get really offended sometimes. My mom just laughs and says, it's okay, sweetie, I'm the right one in this situation. You'll realize that in a few years. And it's like, okay, but there could be something nice you could say about it now. Like, I'm sorry that I offended you. Would you like me to explain the situation? Or something like that. You don't be like, ha ha ha, you stupid. Or it's just your autism. Or anytime I would try really hard and I would fail, my mom would be like, oh, wow, you're a moron. But then again, it's your autism. And that hit me both parts because I'm a fucking genius, as I believed. And I was a genius in subjects. I'm very much so in many things. I knew a lot about Marvel, specifically the Avengers. My main obsession is Hawkeye. I knew a lot about Final Fantasy. Absolutely obsessed with that. Not as much now as I used to be, but I could recite every single attack, every single name of every city, even if we only went there for like one cutscene. I remembered every little detail about it because it interests me so much. And I wrote a lot of fanfic about it. I loved Final Fantasy, and I still have a strong bond to it. But everything else, even things I found